Provo, Utah. This is the Ultimate Final Fantasy Podcast with your hosts, Joseph DeGolier and Caleb Schweiss. This is Ultima Final Fantasy.
Welcome to another episode of Ultima Final Fantasy, the Ultimate Final Fantasy Podcast. I'm your host, Caleb Schweiss, with his balls cut off by Joe.
And I am Joe, with Caleb's balls in my hand.
Nice.
Cut off, of course.
All right, so today we will be doing a reaction video for Final Fantasy 15.
True. But before we get that, we got to get to reviews. Oh, wait.
Dun, dun, dun.
Don't have any reviews. Make sure you guys review us on iTunes if you haven't already. If you're from a country other than the United States, Canada, and Great Britain, which is where we will be, or the UK, excuse me, which is where we will be looking for the reviews. Make sure you send us an email telling us where to look.
Yeah, say something on the forums or just on our site. That's fine.
And for you guys who have been listening for a while, make sure you guys support us on Patreon.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We do have 3 Patreon supporters, 3 wonderful Patreon supporters, and we want more.
It would be nice, yes.
Yes. We've got some Final Fantasy games to buy in the future, games that we don't have, such as the Dawn of Mana series or whatever those are.
Right.
And then the you don't have the Crystal Chronicles games.
I don't have any of them, no.
So we still got stuff to buy in the future, and everything that you guys donate via PayPal or via Patreon, it's all going into one thing so that we can buy those games when they come, and also pay for the show.
Right.
Which our show's already paid for, so anything on top of that is going to other expenses, including eventually better equipment.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Which would be very nice. So thank you to those who have already supported and put down reviews, and a thank you in the future for you guys who will do that in the future.
And thanks for all of you that just listen anyways. That's still awesome. That's the main thing we need, obviously, is people to listen to us talk every
I'm okay
week.
with the main thing being the Patreon.
Yeah.
I don't mind.
Yeah, that's true, I guess.
I mean, you listeners, you're all right, but you know.
The Patreon ones are the real.
Yeah, and a special thanks to last week we had Mecha Messiah join us for a very good episode, I thought.
Yeah, it was really fun.
Even though the sound quality wasn't where I like it. I think the TeamSpeak just sounds way too tinny. And of course it always gets cut off. It's not like a smooth sound. It always bugs me, but it was a very, very good episode, and I'm glad. Thank you very much, Mecha Messiah, for coming on our episode. If you want to check out his podcast, it is the Suite 12 podcast, SUITE 12 podcast, and I guess they're doing like movie review countdowns. I listen to them; they're pretty good.
Nice,
yeah,
very nice.
So, shall we get to the news, Schweiss?
Yes, let's do it.
News.
All right, so first up in news, Hashimoto from Square Enix kind of stated that other Final Fantasy titles are probably making their way to the PS4. His exact quote is as follows, and I'm sorry if I get this wrong. The screen is really far away from my face right now. He says, "In reality, I would like to create an environment where other past Final Fantasy titles beyond Final Fantasy X and X-2 become playable on the PS4. Our current Final Fantasy properties are for the PS3 and earlier, but globally, the shift to the PS4 is escalating. With regards to China, the console market itself is beginning to emerge with the PS4. Therefore, I do feel a tinge of anxiety in terms of these considerable masterpieces no longer being available to play. That said, it's not an easy, quick task to port these titles to the PS4, so we would need to take it one step at a time in generating a path for those titles to become playable on the PS4. Sorry, I had to read that, guys. So I think he is stating that they are probably going to be making, or going to be porting the old Final Fantasy games onto the PS4.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah, that's exactly what that sounds
Strange
like.
reasoning. I mean, I'm sure China's already pirated just about every Final Fantasy at this point.
That's true. They made their own 2D version of Final Fantasy VII. If you ever seen that on YouTube.
And I can't fault them for that. It's sweet. 2D. The 2D sprites for all of them.
They just don't wanna play by our rules over there.
No. So yeah, that's great though. I mean, I know the last time we mentioned the PlayStation 4 ports, I was a little bit iffy on the fact. Like, I kind of like the idea of getting an HD remake, but I kind of feel like they're just trying to get our money. But in their defense, I will say that it's a little bit brutal that we can't even play downloaded games, like downloadable games on the PS4 that we could on the PS3.
Right,
and
to the network.
Yeah, that's sick. So like they almost have to bring these titles if you want to play the damn things.
That does piss me off, and it feels like something that Sony should and probably will fix in the future. Like, they'll probably have all the old PlayStation Network games, but I'm not an expert on Sony's plans, so I don't know, but
Plus,
I would really like that.
Right, plus we don't know what it takes to why they're not backwards compatible. I'm not really sure why it isn't. They're both freaking Blu-rays.
They both play Blu-ray, so
I don't get it.
What's the problem here?
We're not console developers. So.
PS3 was backwards compatible. At least some versions of the PS3 were backwards compatible with PS2 and PS1.
Almost all of them for PS1.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's awesome.
And all of PS2 for PS1.
Yeah. What happened there?
Yeah, huh?
Wasn't too expensive then.
Yeah, so if my PS3 breaks down...
Yeah, which they are. I swear, everyone we know.
The PS3s are starting to age.
Everyone we know's PS3 is just dying one by one.
Yeah.
Mine's starting to get weird network issues where like it won't connect to the internet.
I'm really afraid of like, what am I going to play Final Fantasy 9 on? Because Final Fantasy, I had to restart Final Fantasy 8 on the PC. Now I'm further than I was before on the PlayStation in like 2 days, but I had to restart Final Fantasy VIII because it was freezing over and over again. And it was the PlayStation Network version of Final Fantasy VIII. And the only thing, and we reinstalled it and everything, the only thing that could possibly be wrong with it is that the PS3 was just crapping out.
Yep.
And that's still not a cheap proposition to buy a new PS3.
It's not okay because you also have to play 10 on there. You have the 10 and 10.2 remix, and that's what we're supposed to do.
10.
Remember, I was going to play the original version of 10. And you were going to play the...
See, I might have to... Guys, support us on Patreon. I might have to get a PS3. It might just be that game on that system.
Shameless plug.
And what?
I said shameless plug.
Shameless plug. Well, if it's shameless, you don't have to cough it.
Yeah, that's true.
There's some shame there. All right, so what's our next piece of news?
Well, it looks like Final Fantasy Agito has been downloaded 1 million times.
And there's a new trailer.
There's
many other new trailers this week.
Which we will watch because we care about that one and the 15 one. Everything else is like, yeah.
Okay, and what else?
Mevius Final Fantasy.
Mevius Final Fantasy?
Mm-hmm.
You don't know anything about it, do you?
Not really.
Okay.
We mentioned it a while ago when they first started.
Yeah, I think when they trademarked it.
Yeah, they trademarked it. That's what it was.
And that got on some headlines. But now they have officially announced it in Famitsu magazine. And there is, if you go on Kotaku, the lie of a site that Kotaku is, you can see the page that announced it. It's apparently going to come out in 2015 in Japan, and we're expecting an international release date.
Oh, cool.
At some point.
Okay.
It's supposed to, like, kind of be like the original Final Fantasy.
Right, there's a lot of
the
crystals.
Heroes of Light and crystals and all that kind of thing. That's an open exploration, I think, is what it talked about in its little, thing.
Yeah, it talked about it, but it said that you would select the destinations. It's had some
it's
weird...
like automated destinations or whatever.
Yeah, so I hope
it might be like 12 a little bit.
Yeah. Maybe.
But the ideas of the Warriors of Light, and it's got a cool logo.
It does, yeah. It's really cool.
It's got a guy with a big giant sword and some swirly things around him.
The old swirly things.
Yeah. So check that out. That's on Kotaku, and you'll be able to find it there. I fucking hate that site, though. We need a different site to get news from.
Yeah, they jump to conclusions. It's like that
so
Matt
bad.
from Office Space. You jump to conclusions. That's like the Kotaku business model.
Our biggest piece of news this week, though, and I'm sure everybody who's going to be listening to this has seen these trailers, except for us.
Right.
We got 2 new trailers
Dun, dun, dun.
for both Final Fantasy Type-0
And Final Fantasy 15.
and Final Fantasy
Yes!
15.
I already knew, sorry, but
Of course you already knew.
I actually visit the forums.
But we didn't actually watch them.
No, we haven't
Because
yet.
we did a few weeks ago, we told Shinru that we were going to try one of these reaction things. It's going to be a podcast reaction to the new trailers, and it's also going to be on video on our behind the scenes video, which you'll be able to you'll be able to see on YouTube even as soon as this episode comes out.
Yes.
So, all right, Caleb Schweiss, are you ready to watch some trailers and be reactive to them?
I think so.
Okay.
Are you?
Oh, I am.
Oh, okay. Let's do it then.
Okay. We're sitting here.
Dun, dun, dun,
We got
dun,
my
dun.
iPod out. You're gonna hear a little bit of the trailer in the background noise.
Right, we're going to start with the Type-0
Type-0 Jump Festa trailer.
Jump Festa.
I want to
yes.
call it Jump Fiesta so bad because it just rolls off the tongue a lot easier, but Jump Festa, I guess, is what's going to happen. Let's watch the trailer and react to the trailer. We have not seen this before, shall we?
Mm-hmm.
L'espace there. Oh, that's a nice little song, I guess. It's a lot better than Eyes on Me.
Dead Horse.
There's a mech warrior type guy. Looks like some pretty sweet action going on.
Yeah, it's a lot faster paced than what we're used to.
The Square Enix logo, of course.
Tons of death.
I do love that we clicked on a trailer that had Spanish subtitles. No, it looks French, actually. French subtitles. My apologies to all French and Spanish people for being an idiot.
Whoa. What the hell is on his head?
Giant thing. There's some serious drama going
Yeah,
on.
someone just got fucking killed, from what I can hear. Yeah, it looks pretty good graphically.
The girl with the white hair and the ponytail is pretty hot for being an anime character.
That guy's dying a very horrible death,
Got it.
as always.
Serious amount of blood on that dude. This looks like a repeat of what they showed right at the beginning of the trailer. Holy shit.
Oh man.
She's got some serious cleavage.
Black and white, it's important.
Oh, must be. I think that's the scene we saw before, though, with like the dying chocobo and shit.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy. Just kidding, that's me. Type-0 HD. Look pretty good.
Yeah.
A little bit more than what we've seen in the other trailers. I've heard there's a lot more in this other Final Fantasy 15 trailer.
Some 70% more.
Yeah, we gotta get a PS4. You're gonna do it with your tax return, Choice?
I think so.
Tax return. You got some serious hair going on in front of your face. I don't want to touch it. Sorry, guys. Caleb had something on his face. Really weird.
He just wanted to touch my face.
Yeah, your unibrow. God. How can you
Harry?
let it get that long?
Wasn't attached, you ass.
You sure?
100%.
This is making great radio. Okay. Let's get to the Jump Festa Final Fantasy 15 trailer with my slow-ass iPod. Loading the trailer. Come on. You can do this. Final Fantasy 15 Jump Festa trailer.
Peggy 16.
If your name is Peggy, you have to be 16 to watch this.
Now for the news on the recent Imperial military action in Insomnia.
I'm sorry, there's a place called Insomnia? Is that supposed to be subtle?
I hope not. That's cool.
We've seen that before, though, yeah.
Still cool.
The swords, of course, coming out.
He's really old.
He is. The dark style to it, it's really beautiful.
Yeah.
And these dudes, while all that's happening, they're just sitting in a car.
Yep.
Yep, just kind of watching the army move in.
So we stay on the road? Like we have a choice.
So why do you think they're staying on the road?
Mate, I would
They
assume
don't have a choice?
their kingdom was attacked and they go home, he gets captured, I would assume. No, they're on the wrong side of the road.
Oh my god, a city!
Yeah,
We have not seen that.
no.
Just walking through like a little lunch place, little deli. Of course, it's Jurassic Park. And that must be like some checkpoint of the fucking construction in Wyoming. You're going through. Okay, that was weird. Her name is Sid. She's the head mechanic. Cars 3.
Yeah.
Big ass hand. Big ass man.
Big ass man. Yes. He doesn't care,
Even
though.
more God of War.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was cool. Kind of want to watch it again, but
Yeah, that city scene.
yeah.
He doesn't give a shit about that giant ass man.
Man, he don't give no shit, man. It's like Shadow of the Colossus. He's just down there while the thing's stomping on him.
Yeah.
Well, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I like
Female
that.
Sid. I know we got a question about it earlier.
Yeah, spoiler.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Woke up with a spoiler in front of my face.
Well, there's worse things that could have been dangling in front of your face.
That's true.
First thing in the morning.
That's too true. Stop bringing me back to my childhood. I'm kidding.
Yeah, the female Sid's kind of interesting. I mean,
Yeah, we'll talk about her. We can't talk about her right now. We got her in a question segment.
do whatever we want.
But it was nice seeing a city. I thought they were just going to be out in the wild like the whole game.
Yeah.
Even though when they were fighting those guys at that checkpoint, that one like giant arch above them, still there. So it's still in like the same giant fucking field.
Yeah.
Or area, I guess. I wonder what that thing is.
I don't
guess
know.
We'll just have to find out.
Seems important because, or maybe
does
that's just
seem
the only
important.
part of the game they've finished.
It does seem important. I was wondering, I never thought about why they would be out in a car during all this war and shit. And now it kind of makes sense. I guess they kind of do have to stay down low. And
Yeah, I feel like shit went bad in his kingdom, and now he can't go back. That's
Right.
probably what's gone down.
right, they probably have to go into a land that they're not used to. Certainly.
Yeah.
They probably have to go into the enemy's land.
Which would make sense as to why they were so surprised about the Adamantoise. Because you'd think if they were, just always casually strolling along, they would have noticed the giant rock mountain creature, but
Sure.
they seem pretty new to it. So yeah, that would support that theory.
I think it looks good. Looks great.
Yeah. I'm still really excited for it. So
Yeah. The last English voice acting trailer, some of the voices, I know these voices aren't necessarily permanent, though I think with Final Fantasy 13, they hired the actors to do the voice trailer, like the English voice trailer, and then they hired them back to do the full game.
okay.
So it was like the same people. So they will probably do it again for Final Fantasy 15. That one dude, I hope he's from somewhere else, because the blonde guy with the glasses, you know?
Yeah.
Forgot his name, if he even has a name. His British accent, I hope he's from somewhere else. Like, I hope he's not just a dude with a British accent from that kingdom.
I'm pretty sure he has. Does he have blonde hair? Or does he have brown hair? I thought he had brown. It's kind of nice
it might be brown.
that the main character doesn't have blonde hair. That's a nice variety.
Well, we're playing 8 right now.
Right, but 3,
Ooh, wait. Yeah.
7, 6.
No, 2 also had a blonde hair.
Yeah.
Wasn't Farion blonde hair in the drawing, at least? In the art?
In the drawing, in the game, he was a brunette.
Okay.
I think.
I think so, too.
And I know
It's
3
been a
is.
little while.
And then there's 7, and then there's 10, and then there's 12, and then there's
13.
13. Dun, 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 dun. They love.
My Final Fantasy 14 character has red hair.
Oh, that's good.
My 11 has brown.
I think my 14 character has red hair too.
Oh, nice. You
The
with
one that I
You and
made.
the redheads.
Yeah,
And me just being redheaded.
I dig them.
I know you do. It's fucking weird. I want you to move over there again. Move to the other side of the table, please.
Fine.
Well, that was pretty cool. And I hope those were reactions enough on our Google broadcast. And, of course, we'll talk about the female Sid later. You know, Caleb, we've had a Spot the FF thread for a while.
It's true.
And we have occasionally done the segment. But there was no music. That's weird, huh?
We probably should do something about
We
that.
probably should. Maybe we should sit down and do some music.
All right, let's take about 30 seconds and come up with a really good song.
Okay, yeah. We'll just do it live.
Okay, yeah.
All right, let's go.
Hey, 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 did you see it? Did you see that Final Fantasy? Hey, hey, did you see it? Did you spot that FF in your songs and games and movies? Spot that Final Fantasy.
All right, so first Spot the FF comes from our beloved Shinru.
He's an Ultima weapon.
He is.
He
That's
has posted a lot.
Good job, man. Good job. So it comes from Wreck-It Ralph, which I did not see this.
I didn't see shit either. Like, that whole movie, I was looking for Final Fantasy stuff.
Yeah, after you heard.
Apparently, there was something in there.
So it looks like there's a Moogle during the scene where we first kind of get the idea of what Wreck-It Ralph is. Basically, it's another world, obviously, if you've seen it, of video game characters, and they go to their job every day, quote unquote, which is the gaming place's hours. And he's walking through, and he hands a cherry.
Some kind of circuit or something.
Yeah, it's
collecting there.
It's weird. It's cool, but it's weird. They all know each other. And he's handing a giant cherry to these.
It's either in that scene or it's like late in the game.
One of those. I'm not sure.
Or in the movie.
Yeah.
Whatever.
But it's the scene where he's handing a giant cherry to the Cubert guys who are homeless because Cubert has gone out. And in the very, very far background,
Way in the background, right above the cherry in his left hand,
there's a Moogle.
there are two Moogles.
Two Moogles,
Two
I
Moogles.
guess.
Just floating up.
Oh, yeah,
Floating
yes,
around.
too.
The only Final Fantasy reference that I am aware of, except for that one guy who also looks like Mr. T, kind of in that corner, but I don't think that's him.
No, that's a
Or, looks like Barrett.
guy from a fighting game.
Anyway, so that is pretty awesome.
Yeah, and then there's something that looks a lot like a Marlboro, but it's kind of a stretch.
Is it?
Kind of. It's got the eyes. The Marlboros don't have the eyes. They just have the tentacles.
He says there's a few other references that Shinru has put out on the forum. If you go under Spot the FF, and it's not going to be under new sightings anymore, previous sightings. He's got some screenshots here. There's one that also has like a Kingdom Hearts symbol in it, and there's another one, Kingdom Hearts kind of looking thing. It looks a little bit like Sora, I think.
Yeah.
With the overalls and a 2D version of that. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
Make sure you guys check that out. I was seriously looking through Wreck-It Ralph looking for Cloud because I thought he was going to show up somewhere, but he never did. I was sad.
Yeah.
As I'm sure we're all other Final Fantasy fans.
Yeah.
You didn't even give a shit when you watched the movie, did you?
I liked it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I think most people liked that movie. I thought it was a good movie.
I wasn't looking for Cloud.
No, you weren't looking for Cloud?
No, it's a Disney movie.
I'm sorry.
They don't own enough of Square.
Oh, yeah, it's Sony, isn't it? Sony is Cloud, or Sony owns Square Enix. Square Enix not really owns Square Enix.
No, they have a chunk.
Owns a large chunk of Square Enix, and of course Disney is a competitor. So.
Right. Damn. All right, so the next one is a little bit... It's quite a bit of a stretch compared to the old one. It's
not a stretch.
No, it's not a stretch. It's just a whole different ballpark. So, Final Fuck 10 apparently is, as it sounds, a porno on the internet where they're dressed up. Well, the chicks are dressed up as Final Fantasy X characters.
Yes, the 3 main Final Fantasy girls.
Right. Lulu, Riku, which is really weird, and Yuna.
And I do believe that we both checked it out.
Yes.
Do you want to read what Gamma Stark wrote here?
He says...
He's also an Ultimate Weapon.
He is. Good job. He recalls when Broadband first came to his neighborhood running across a porn called Final Fuck 10. Many conversations we have start this very similarly.
I remember when I was looking up this.
Yeah, and then this came up. It was like, oh my god. All right, so the screen caps suggested that a lot of work was at least put into the costuming of Lulu, Riku, and Yuna. I am not suggesting that you guys watch it or run a commentary track for it.
Which is just what you were saying before we started recording.
Which we should.
A commentary for Final Fuck 10.
But I
think we would lose about half our audience.
You think so?
Yeah.
No, they don't have to watch it.
Yeah, okay.
He says the super sexy swinging fan fiction for 6 and this porn for 10 may be an interesting launching point. Oh, 7, yeah, sorry. Launching point for a discussion on the popularity of these two games. Why these two, perhaps a few others, and not some of the other games? Well, for that, I'd say...
Keep going.
Okay. Does it have to do with moving to a new platform, a change in our culture, marketing, boobage?
Or the fact that Final Fantasy X and Final Fantasy VII are the best-selling Final Fantasy games.
Yeah, and they're both probably going to be in at least the top 4, if not top 3.
Of your list?
Of my list.
Of your list.
I'm not going to say it yet, because I haven't gone through 10 recently, but I'm saying they're probably going to be up there. They're good games, so that's probably why. And they're a little more lifelike, and we've had more recent renditions of them, whereas 6 is still the 2D sprites and has been. I guess that's why. We can harbor more fantasies about characters that look more like people and not toys.
I agree.
Not little sprites, you know. Not that I don't think that Celis is a super hot, concept, but...
She is a sprite.
Or Quistis. Oh, God. Quistis.
Part of me thinks there probably is a Quistis porn.
Oh, I'm sure there is.
Like some guy with his girlfriend was like, could you please dress up as Quistis and let's have a sex tape? I just really want it. It'll show me that you care, and then when you're gone I can think about you.
Oh yeah, now I'm gonna have to look for it.
Okay, so my favorite thing is Batman's response. Which is ... I'll do my own research as well. For discussion purposes, of course.
Yeah.
And then Sniper 912's response was, of course, wouldn't want to get the facts wrong. Maybe watch it twice for sure.
Yeah. And...
It's really shitty.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. the quality's kind of bad. They make ridiculous noises, and
Well, the quality is really shitty. I'm not sure if it was like originally that way when they filmed the porno in 2001, but the internet version that I came across was just horrendous. Like it was super pixelated, and it was like yellow tinted, which I thought was weird.
yeah.
I'm not sure if anybody else, there might and probably is a higher quality version out there, but I'm not gonna put any porn sites out, just to look this shit up. I did watch a little bit of each because it's all three of the women getting fucked, not at the same time, separately.
And it's not even by. It's not like I wanted it to be Waka, but it wasn't Waka.
Oh, it wasn't it? Yeah, the guys were just guys.
Yeah,
Which was disappointing.
kind of.
Not that I really care. I don't ever look at the guy, really.
Well,
I'm
obviously.
always really bugged when it's like that low angle and it's like his balls. You know that angle underneath his like legs?
Yeah,
That fucking pisses me off. I just fast forward every time through that shit. I'm like, I don't want to see this. I just don't want to see his balls or his asshole, which is always like looming at the top of the screen.
the looming asshole.
I guess if I were into guys, I'd feel differently. But
I
into
would
chicks.
assume.
And I think most guys that watch porn that are into women would probably want more women in the.
You know what?
in the porno.
Let's put a poll up. No, go to the site and there will be more balls, less balls, and same amount of balls.
Oh, in the fucking close-up. I like porn done in a wide shot. I like to see the woman there. Or maybe in a close-up of like her breasts or her face. But no, not of the balls.
Yeah, it was really poorly done, I think.
It was really poorly done. I mean, this is a totally different porno conversation. How did you feel about it besides it just being poorly done?
It's, I don't know. I didn't really have any story. They were just dressed up as
Final Fantasy
Riku,
characters, yeah.
Yeah, it's like the only connection.
It was very high quality costuming, like Gammon Stark was talking
It
about.
was, yeah.
It was like legit.
The chick that played Yuna did not look anything like Yuna, though.
I didn't really pay attention.
I was there to. I like Yuna's design a lot, so
alright.
I was very
The
disappointed.
Final Fantasy X-2 version of Yuna?
No, I think I
No?
hate the 10-2 version. Of
Okay.
Yuna.
Alright.
The regular version of Yuna is better.
I'm turned on by the Final Fantasy X-2 version, but...
Really?
Yeah. Shorts. I'm into that.
Yeah.
Problem. Oh, God.
Well, now that the porn discussion is out of the way.
Well, I mean, really. Why would that be Why would the director be like, oh, you know what we really need? More balls.
I don't
More
know.
balls slapping up against the taint.
That soft slap. The
I
meat
hate
slap.
that, dude. I just... Well, did you see that, like, the boobs versus butts thing that I sent you?
Yeah.
Yeah, where, like, I think it was Pornhub, like, put out their top searches for every country in the world, and there was, like, the percentage of ass versus boobs, you know, because you're always wondering, like, are you a tits guy or are you an ass guy? For some reason, this is important to ask your fellow man, which is really not. I personally am a tit guy, and so I really hate when porn goes down below where I want to watch. I hate going down into the nasties, especially when there's like a giant, like when there's like this dude with a giant cock, and it takes up 2/3 of the screen. I hate it. God, where is the porn for me? Where?
I don't know. Because Japan's isn't for you either.
Well, Japan's, they're
And-
like... I usually watch porn with the sound off, but now that Caleb Craig has moved out of my room, and Cody doesn't really care or anything, he's just in his room, I listen with the sound on, or I watch with the sound on now. And now Japanese porn is really annoying.
Yeah.
Because, like, they do that, like, kind of thing. Sound like little, like, piglets or something. Welcome to my world, ladies and gentlemen. In my
There
porn.
he is, Joseph.
How's your porn watching going, Schweiss?
It's fine.
You ever looked up a Final Fantasy character? I've looked up Tifa before.
I never have.
I've looked up Tifa on X videos. And there's-
Not with the intent of watching for...
I've never looked up anime porn because I'm not into it. But I've tried to look up like real porn.
I have never
Really?
for Final Fantasy.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know why. I mean...
I've looked up Tifa. I know that.
I-
And now I've looked up Final Fight 10.
And well, now we're gonna have to find Quistis, because Quistis is... I think
we're
she's
gonna have to
hotter.
find
We
Quistis.
did vote her
Tell you
as
what,
the...
Gammon Stark, if you find Quistis, you go ahead and you let us know in the forum. Spot
Yeah.
the FF. We'll talk about this later.
Yes.
Hopefully, I didn't discuss. What the fuck word am I looking for? Disgust.
You said it the first time.
Did I?
Yes.
God, I can't fucking talk today. Hopefully, I didn't turn too many people off of our podcast. Because now we're going to the question segment.
Yes.
A very long question segment, I'm sure.
It's true.
There are a lot of questions this week. Let's get to it.
Yes.
Questions for us. We would like to hear from you. To our forums. Contact us on Twitter. Get on and ask your questions. We'll answer them within a week. This is the question segment. Ask and you will receive.
All right, so the first question comes also from Shinru,
Our dear Shinru,
the dear Shinru.
even though he's a dragon.
It's true, and I totally left him in his, his
I
little
did.
thing.
I think I might have opened it and then restarted.
You're like, well, fuck this.
Yeah. What is this?
All right, so he states, or asks, I suppose it's an ask, some questions that I'm curious about. Is your family, friends, or significant other aware of the FF series? What do they think about the series? Have they ever played the games, watched you play them, or said something funny about the games? How do they feel about your passion about the series? If you don't have a significant other, would you like to find one
Are
that
you
enjoys
suggesting that I
FF
don't?
series as well? I'm sure it's obvious. He says that his family doesn't really care about video games. Some of his cousins play games, but it's mostly COD or Halo type games.
Lol.
Yeah, I think
You
that's
gotta add that, too.
LOL, not League of Legends.
Just
His
lol
cousins
at the end
don't.
of a sentence.
Yeah. They're aware of Final Fantasy, the name, but know nothing about it except for Cloud, Sephiroth, and Lightning. Okay. Some of them have even said some racist things about the characters, which has made me mad. Hey, they're from another generation where certain things are the norm, I guess. Not really. They're still assholes. I remember showing the FF15 trailer, and I
Racist
remember...
things about the characters.
I don't know. Yeah,
They're all of a nondescript race except for Saz and
Yeah, they're all just
Barrett.
they're all just kind of there. I mean,
they're anime characters, so they're not quite white. They're not quite Asian. They're something.
they're stuck in between.
Yeah, at least that's what I would think, but I'm not an expert.
He also remember showing the trailer and his grandparents saying, "Just you wait for them to release it here in the West. They will surely change that Asian look of their eyes and face because we don't like that look over here."
Oh,
This was edited.
okay, that was kind of racist.
This was edited from the original thing they said, which was much worse. What the fuck?
Really?
I got mad, but I didn't even know he said something wrong. I remember playing FF7 and my parents never paid attention to me playing it until the end of the game. Let's just say that my dad thought the birth of a god and final Sephiroth boss fights were satanic and didn't like the chanting music as he described it. Lucky enough, though, I have a few girlfriends I've had.
He has had.
Have had. Okay, God. A few girlfriends that have either been Kingdom Hearts or Final Fantasy fans to some degree. So glad to have someone else that liked the series.
Haha.
Haha, whatever. So what about you?
Okay. And there's a few other people that put their opinions. This was actually quite the thread, so we're not
It
going to read
was.
them.
It was a good one.
Caleb, let's just talk about your family. Does your family even care about Final Fantasy or what you're doing with your pod? Do they even know that you're doing a Final Fantasy podcast?
Yeah, I've told them.
Okay.
They don't. I mean, they don't give a shit.
They don't give a shit.
Like, they don't play Final Fantasy. I mean, it just doesn't. There's no connect. There's a disconnect there with the gaming. I'm the one that plays video games. My sisters try to get into it because they wanted to relate to me more, but they're horrible, and I don't think they could play Final Fantasy. My siblings. So no, the family, no. The friends, obviously, us.
Caleb Schweiss only has like 3 friends. So
I have more friends than that. I just don't actually hang out with them very much. So I guess they're not really. So I mean, most of my friends do play the games, and if they don't, they at least have played them and do have fond memories of them, so I can talk about them.
okay.
And significant other,
What does Liz think about you playing Final Fantasy all the time? Like when you're playing Final Fantasy versus when you're playing other games. Does she even care?
she doesn't like the music.
She doesn't like the music.
No, and that's ridiculous because that's like all we have.
What do you mean?
Well, like that's the only sounds we get, and I enjoy the music a lot.
Yeah.
For most of the games, the music is very good.
Yeah,
So
she likes Fall Out Boy.
yeah,
So
there are worse bands.
there,
It's
I
true.
guess
there are
Yeah,
much
there
worse
are worse
bands.
bands, and they've had
Some good songs.
they've had like 2 good songs that I can think of.
yeah, you know how many good songs? What is that?
But if I hear Dance Dance one more fucking time, I'm going to shoot someone in the face.
it's good thing you don't have a gun because you're probably gonna hear it again.
Yeah, I'll probably hear it.
Yeah, so Liz doesn't care about Final Fantasy. She's okay. She's glad that I'm enjoying what I'm doing. She has respect for it, at least on that level. And
Has she listened to the podcast?
no,
No.
she's never listened to the podcast.
Oh, that's interesting.
What about you? What about your family?
My
Siblings,
family,
whatever.
they don't give a shit at all about Final Fantasy. Though my family is pretty religious and Mormon, and I don't think they cared about it satanic, the chanting or anything like that. And they've seen, of course, I don't know, maybe my family's just a little bit more relaxed about that kind of thing.
Okay, yeah.
Certainly never had any racist comments by anybody in my family about the games being Japanese or anything. Like Shinru, so no, they just don't care. They just could not care anymore at all. They could not care any less, I should say. My friends, the majority of my friends, I guess, play it, or at least know about it. They still don't care about the podcast, though. Just no one cares. No one cares about me. That's really it, though.
Yeah.
So I haven't dated anyone for a while, so it's not like they cared either.
Yeah.
They didn't care at all. Didn't play video games.
It's weird to me. I'm like, you don't have any interest in any of that? Like,
No.
what do you do? You know? Stuff? Real things?
Yeah, real things. You mean you don't sit in front of the computer screen all day? That's weird.
It is. You know,
It is
I do
weird.
that for work now, so it's like more demotivating to do it when I get home.
Yeah.
Still will.
Anyway, if you want to share what your family, your friends, or significant others think about Final Fantasy, make sure you add to that thread. We do have a couple questions from Void here, one of which he says, I'm currently in the middle of my second playthrough of Final Fantasy 13. I first finished the game when it was initially released, and by the end of the game, I absolutely hated it. The only reason I finished it was because it's a mainline numbered Final Fantasy game. If it wasn't the case, I wouldn't have given up on the game.
Would have given up.
Would have given up on the game. That's why I was confused. Now it's a few years later, and I'm replaying it. You can, of course, go to his website at greenmushroom.com, where he's reviewed the other 12 Final Fantasy games. He's replaying it in the course of playing all the FF games in order. I actually really enjoyed the game this time. I think a lot of that comes down to having a different set of expectations. This time I knew what kind of game it was. It wasn't I wasn't setting myself up for disappointment the way I did with my initial expectations for my first playthrough. All that being said, is there a Final Fantasy game that you have drastically changed your opinion of after playing it more than once?
Drastically?
Drastically.
I would say...
Just have you changed your opinion about replaying an FF game is this main question.
There's really only one Final Fantasy game. No, two that I've played twice.
Okay.
7 and 12.
7 and 12.
And the answer is no. I didn't change my opinion.
You didn't change your opinion at all.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Maybe a little. I noticed the cheesy, there ain't no getting off of this train thing in 7, but that's really nothing. I
only noticed that because someone else pointed it out.
Because Caleb is the biggest nitpicker in the world. But no, I didn't really change my opinion of it. I enjoyed them in the same ways both times. I mean, I disliked the same things both times because that's just how it was for me. I don't know. I understand that, you do go into something expecting to know that the summons are going to be weird machines and everything's going to be a machine. And once you get over that giant wall of weirdness, I could see where you would enjoy 13 more a second time, I suppose.
Well, I liked 13 the first time. I've only ever played it a second time, like 4 hours in.
Okay.
So I've never replayed the whole thing before. All I know is that it was really annoying at the beginning when everything is like happening really quickly in succession. It's like you do two things and then there's a big long cutscene, which is the beginning of FF13. Everything's like that. It's really hard to get through that chunk.
Yeah.
Of Final Fantasy 13. So replaying it might be kind of a pain once I get there. But I'm glad that Mushroom liked it the second time around. I liked it the first time around, though, as I said. Final Fantasy VI was probably the one that I had the biggest change in, even though I liked it both times. I thought it was exceptional both times. The first time I played Final Fantasy VI, I thought the plot had dropped off the face of the planet once the planet had split. But this time around, I noticed that it was less me wandering around and instead me, in a specific order, it felt like, even though it wasn't that way, of me going and getting my companions and then us going and getting Kefka at the end of the game. I felt that the game held together a lot better the second time playing it and was less bugged about it than I was before. I don't know why I felt that way the first time, and even in this podcast, if you listen to the first few episodes, I talk about that. I talk about that being a problem I had with 6 the first time playing it. But of course, the second time playing it, which was with this podcast, I really enjoyed it. I find hardly anything I dislike about Final Fantasy VI. Mm-hmm. 8's being kind of a pain to replay, I'll be honest. But we'll get to that in our review, I'm sure. And you've got some things to say about 8 when we get to that.
I do.
And 4, I didn't like nearly as much as the first time I did. And of course, you can listen to the Final Fantasy 4 episode. And even though I did like it very much, I didn't like it as much. The wedding scene, I enjoyed the first time playing. The second time playing, I didn't enjoy it.
Yeah, I thought that scene was really crappy.
Of course, it was like the second Final Fantasy I ever beat, because the first Final Fantasy I beat was 10, and then 2 weeks later I beat 4. And I don't know, there's something about that kind of, sentimentality with that. Even though the one I played first and played the most is 8, definitely. Even though I never finished the game till later, after those 2 games.
Okay.
So what's our next question here? Another one from Void? We got 3 from Void this week, I think.
He's loving this question segment.
Okay.
All right, so he says, which optional character in the Final Fantasy series is your favorite? There are only a couple of games in the series that have truly optional characters, FF6 and 7, but out of those, I'd love to hear who your favorite is. If my memory serves me correctly, the optional characters are Mog, Umaro, Gogo, Shadow, Yuffie, and Vincent.
No, that's Gogo. Never mind. I was thinking of that he had a different name. But
Is Gao an optional character?
Gao is not an optional character,
Oh, okay.
I believe. Shit, is he? Do you really need Gao?
I don't know.
I
dude.
have no idea.
He didn't add anything.
I wouldn't put him as my favorite anyway.
No, yeah, so it doesn't matter.
Okay. I guess I'll go first, because you went first last time. My favorite one out of those that I see right now, it's got to be somewhere between Umaro and Shadow, or no, Umaro and Vincent. Shadow, of course, I let him die.
Asshole.
Right in the middle of Final Fantasy VI. I just left him there to get killed. Umaru is awesome, especially if you give him that one relic that has him throwing people across the screen the whole time. He's like berserked and he just goes nuts and he does a lot of damage.
He does. It's sick.
He is fantastic. However, Vincent you can control. So I'm going to go ahead and put Vincent down as my favorite optional character. Not only is his background stuff interesting, like the Lucrezia scene that I finally got to witness on our most recent play of Final Fantasy VII, but his limit breaks are amazing. Just the berserk mode that he's in with the extra HP and the extra damage, it's really great. I really enjoy it.
Okay. Well, I might have to go with Shadow.
Yeah, why is that?
I never really used Vincent. I know I'm like the only person on the face of the fucking planet that never used Vincent playing 7, but I always got to the part with the Materia Keeper and the limit break you normally have at that point. He just goes crazy and
Does fire
heals.
damage. Yeah.
So I just kick him out of the party for good at that point, which I know is wrong.
You don't
'cause
bring him back in?
No, I know
It's not wrong. It's not wrong. There's plenty of other characters to do.
I know, he's got a lot of damage, though. But at the same time, so does Tifa, so does Barrett.
Well, I always have Tifa in my party.
I'm usually Tifa, Cloud, Barrett. Like every time.
I'm as we've talked about this a million times.
We have.
I'm always Cloud, Tifa, and
Vincent.
and Vincent.
Yeah, that's most people from what I've seen. But I really liked Shadow. I thought he had a cool character. Interceptor was friggin' sweet. He would come in and, really mess people up occasionally when Shadow would get hit. And I just liked his character. I thought the character design was really cool. Mm-hmm. And I used him. I used the shit out of him. So
we got a question here from Branny, who is also an Ultima weapon. There's a lot of Ultima weapons on our forum now.
You guys have been working.
You guys got to get to night. Is it Night of the Round next? I think it is Night of the Round.
Yeah.
Okay, so Brandy's question is, which of the themes or songs from the series is your favorite? Maybe you have a few. Brandy's happens to be the Crystal theme and You're Not Alone from Final Fantasy IX. Caleb Craig put down below One Wing Angel, Kefka's theme, Cosmo Canyon, and Genova's theme. And Gamut Stark likes Dancing Mad, done by the Black Mages.
It's Kafka's theme, done by them.
Something to Protect, You're Not Alone, and Melodies of Life. Gao's theme from 6 also. And Shinru, see now that I've started, I have to say them all. Most impossible question ever, he says. And Void likes Blinded by the Light, the battle theme from Final Fantasy 13, which is really good.
Okay.
I agree. So, Schweiss, what are some of your favorite Final Fantasy pieces? If you have a single favorite, let us know.
Man, a single favorite?
Single favorite piece.
That is a sick question. It's hard. It would be way easier if it were the single worst. Because there's very few bad songs in these games. But good ones, there are a ton. My favorite... I might have to go with... It's not Sephiroth's. I think it's Sephiroth's theme. It's basically whenever we see Sephiroth come on, it does the heartbeat sound. And in the basement of the Shinra mansion, when Sephiroth, I can't remember what he says to Cloud, but he says something and he starts walking off, and it's like, that is the greatest moment. Not end boss moment in Final Fantasy.
It is a pretty fucking sweet piece of music that they play in that moment. Yeah,
it's fucking intense. And that's probably going to be my favorite. And then probably Cosmo Canyon.
Well, those are the best parts of Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, Cosmo Canyon is
pretty sweet.
It's amazing, and it's one of those ones that's so over the top that if you have the music up or the volume up too loud, like the part where it's like It's like fucking loud as hell, right? So it's just blaring, and I'm like, yes, it's so amazing. You know? And then I'd probably say 6's map theme. That's really good.
Terra.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I have a single favorite. This is my favorite because not only when it comes on does it make me think of the end of the game, which makes me choke up just a little bit, but it's also the only piece that I can play on the piano. A significant chunk of. I used to be able to play the whole thing because I took 6 months of piano lessons. To Xanarkand from Final Fantasy X.
Ooh, that's a really good
It's
one.
a gorgeous piece, and it has so much because of the game and the memory of the game, and when that piece plays during the game, it just has so much meaning to me and my experience with that game. And I think, oh man, that piece is just beautiful. That is my single favorite theme. Terra's theme is great. Aerith's theme is great, especially fully orchestrated. It's a really great theme. One Wing Angel, not the one in the game, but the redone versions with the orchestras or the Black Mages version. Those are really good. And Dancing Mad was pretty sweet too.
Okay.
So that's where I'm gonna leave that question. Do you got anything else?
Not other than To Xanarkand should be on my list too. 'Cause it's really good.
The opening theme of Final Fantasy VIII, that's also a good one, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, this is the question that ruined my Final Fantasy 15 trailer moment. How do you feel about the reveal of female Cid in Final Fantasy 15? This is, of course, asked by Void. He says, I think it's awesome. It's a traditional role in Final Fantasy, but it's been gender swapped. It will be interesting to see the Cid role in a new light with Sydney, in quotes, in Final Fantasy 15. Schweiss, do you care?
Do I care?
Yeah.
Not really. I mean,
Yeah.
it's kind of cool. No, I don't want to make it seem like I don't care about Cid. But there's a lot of Cids, and it is a tradition that they've kept for a while.
It's true.
But meh.
Were you ever disappointed in a Cid, though? Like, you were thinking that... No, okay, you know, I'm just going to say, I was disappointed in both 12 and 13. When their Cids came out, and they weren't, like, a huge part of the plot.
Well, the Cid in 12 was Balthier's father.
The Cid in...
One of the Cids. There were two Cids in 12. There was Al Cid, the weird guy that's like... I don't know how to describe him. He's got his shirt open. He's like Italian. He's like the sex symbol Italian that you would just think of when you think of a sex symbol Italian man. He's got his shirt like
I think
way
of that
open,
often.
tons
Let
of
me tell you.
hair. I don't think of it often, but when I play that game, I'm like, that's what that is. That is female fan service.
Ah, okay.
But yeah, Balthier's dad. And yeah, I think that one was kind of crappy.
Yeah, it was crappy Cid, and then Final Fantasy 13 Cid, which shows up for like 5 seconds.
Who was Cid in that game?
He was like some kind of official general or major or something.
I remember.
He's there for like 5 seconds.
Yeah,
He's like nothing. He means nothing to me.
okay.
We'll have to replay the games and maybe we'll see what
No, I
his
haven't.
meaning was.
Outside of those two, I haven't really been disappointed in
Those were
Cids.
disappointing Cids to me. And
The one
I
in
hope,
3 did look kind of like Santa Claus.
I hope 15.
And the one in 4 looked like a freaking... Oh, what are they called? The Mexican wrestlers. What's their...
A luchador?
Yes, he looked like a luchador on the... on like the Android version. It was sweet. It had like a totally different view of his character from that game.
That's interesting. I certainly don't want to be disappointed in a Cid. I could care less whether or not they're female. I mean, they always do something different with Cid.
Yeah.
Certainly Cid was a good guy. Like, he was a side character good guy and then became like a closer to a main character, especially in Final Fantasy VII. Or definitely in Final Fantasy VII. And then from there, he kind of goes back to supportive roles.
Kind of turns into Robin Williams a little.
But then he starts turning into bad guy. The latest Final Fantasy games have him as bad guys, or 12 and 13, and so she doesn't seem like a bad guy to me, but she is female, so they are doing something a little different with Sid. I hope she's important.
You kind of want to go back
Sid's
to
not important, it does make me feel disappointed, especially with 12 and 13 mostly. It's like,
Okay.
oh, Sid, and then you don't see him the rest of the game.
so not so much the gender, but more their
More their
input to the
importance, yeah.
plot. Yeah.
Because when you come to a Sid, you're like, oh, Sid's important, right?
Yeah, you'd think so.
And then 13 was just like, Sid's not important.
Yeah,
He's mildly important for like
10 seconds.
hour.
Yeah.
of gameplay time. So we got our last question here. This is, of course, from Shinru. A lot of Shinru and Void.
It's true.
But
They're
one
dominating
Brandon,
the
one
episode.
Brandon. Yeah, where's Batman and Sniper 912 gone? You
I don't know.
guys come back. I
Yeah,
miss you.
we need your input.
Yes. All right. Shinru gave us a link to a GameFAQs site, or a GameFAQs poll that was done. GameFAQs.com, excuse me. Poll of the day says, from the last 27 years, which numbered Final Fantasy title is your all-time favorite?
30,000 people.
Yeah, 30,000 votes on this poll. And so it really gives you a sense of where people's allegiances lie as far as Final Fantasy games go. And it's not really surprising, but here, we got a kind of a breakdown for you that Shinru put up. In order from most loved to least loved, let's say. Of course, he looks like he's missing 11 on there. We're going to have to do it ourselves. Shinru, you skipped 11.
All right, so the most loved, as you would expect, Final Fantasy VII.
23.47% of these 30,000 people said Final Fantasy VII
Okay, that's
was
understandable.
their favorite game. That is legitimately higher than almost all the other games.
Right, 6 is close, though,
6 is pretty close.
with 19.73% coming in at number 2.
Right. Certainly our two favorite games so far. We both put them in our top 2 slots.
Yes.
I put 6 as number 1 and 7 as number 2, and you did the flip side of that.
Mm-hmm.
So what's our next biggest?
Looks to me like 10.
Final Fantasy X, the second biggest selling Final Fantasy. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, it's a really good game, too.
And it is a really good game. First one was voice acting, which I think might have added to its sales, probably.
Yeah, I would say. A lot more people could get in on it that don't want to read, which is madness.
So, this is kind of the surpriser to me. Final Fantasy IX as the fourth voted favorite game in the Final Fantasy games. The main series Final Fantasy games. 12.07% of Final Fantasy players believe that Final Fantasy IX is the favorite.
The ultimate Final Fantasy?
The ultimate, yes.
Oh, okay.
And, you know, it is kind of a thing, because Final Fantasy IX for me is really forgettable, and, of course, you haven't played Final Fantasy IX very much.
Only like 4 hours.
Okay. And so, and I've played it all the way, but I gotta tell you, at the end of Final Fantasy IX, I was like, oh, that was good. Like, it was a really good, balanced game, and I just kind of moved on. And so, I don't talk about 9 that much, but we noticed that a lot of our listeners, a lot of people that join the forums, 9 is their favorite game, and I think lately it's kind of been a thing where, like, people are going back to Final Fantasy IX, and I think maybe realizing how good of a game it was. Do you see that trend, the same trend that I'm seeing?
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of that.
And I think this just adds to it as the fourth biggest Final Fantasy game. I mean, it didn't even sell nearly as many as 8. And yet it is ranked above 8.
Of course, 8 sales were in regard to how good 7 was, and 9 had to go off of 8.
Yeah, and
Which-
9 and I think 9 came out when the PS2 was out too.
Did it really?
Yeah, I think so.
Ooh, that's rough.
Yeah.
That probably
9
slaughtered
9
the-
was just kind of the smaller
It was
of the-
forgotten.
Yeah.
Is what I'm kind of seeing with a lot of people going back and loving it. So
And hopefully if they release it on Steam or on a newer platform, hopefully more people love it more, and certainly I'm kind of excited to play it again.
yeah, I'm excited
Or
to play
definitely excited to play it
more
again.
than the first 5 hours.
Final Fantasy VIII is, of course, next. Significantly lower chunk than Final Fantasy IX, though, at 8.68% of the voters voted for Final Fantasy VIII, which was surprising to me. I thought Final Fantasy VIII was going to be like number 3.
Really?
Yeah, I really did. Just because of how much it sold and how much fucking fan fiction and shit there is out there.
I would have been really disappointed if that would have been number 3.
And certainly it's one of my sentimental favorites.
Okay.
Or my sentimental favorite is probably Final Fantasy VIII. Next is Final Fantasy IV. I don't think it deserves to be next, but it is a big game for the Final Fantasy universe.
It is beloved.
Yes. What's next? 12? I think 12 is next.
Yeah, it looks like 12.
12 beat 13, 14, 11, 1, 2, 3. A lot of lovers for Final Fantasy 12, it looks like. A lot more than I thought there would be.
I like it.
I know you like it. I know you like it quite a bit.
I might like it more than 13, even.
Okay, what's our next biggest? Final Fantasy... Oh, yeah, hold on. I'm looking at the numbers here.
It's 13.
It's Final Fantasy 5.
No, 5.
Final Fantasy V, just under Final Fantasy 12. I feel like Final Fantasy V deserves to be higher than 4, but of course this isn't a ranking.
No.
It was ranked.
And it's going to be difficult to decide between 5 and 12 for me. Like, I like
you, yeah.
12, but 5 is a really good game.
I gotta
but
leave my mind open when I get to 12 again.
It's hard, though, because
5
they didn't
is
have
fucking
as
good.
much to go with. You know, they didn't have as much awesome to throw, but 5 is really freaking awesome at the same time. So, like, it's almost not fair.
But I think 5 deserves to be higher
5
than 4.
deserves to be higher than 4.
Yeah, 4 is a ridiculously high number considering 5, but
No one played 5.
not
is a lot
everybody
of it.
agrees with us, and most people haven't played 5 all the way through.
Yeah. And that's why they don't agree. It's because it gets really good at the very end.
Okay, what's after that? So that was 2.51%. What's the next biggest number?
13 at 2.5.
No, I think it's I think you're right.
There's 2 more
Final
votes.
Fantasy 13.
2 more votes for 5 than 13.
Okay. Final Fantasy 13 beat out 14, 11, 2, 3, and 1. Good job, Final Fantasy 13.
Yeah. You weren't the bottom. And the bottom of the cesspool, I guess that everyone hates 2. They think that is the worst Final Fantasy, and I don't really agree.
Yeah.
I liked 2 more than
I
1.
don't agree either.
Story-wise.
But we're not even
And
there
3.
yet. The next biggest is, of course, the original game, which
Yeah.
a lot of people have probably sentimental
Yeah, I would say.
feelings towards, and they probably put that as their favorite. However, I know a lot of people like to explore and play around with the very, very open system in that game. And certainly if you're into that kind of thing, you could put that there. I personally dislike the first game. Sorry for those who love it.
Yeah, I agree.
The next, we're starting to get to the hateds. We're getting to the least liked Final Fantasies. Let's see, what's underneath 1? 2.14
3.
Final Fantasy 3.
No, wait. 14. 14. And 14,
Oh, yeah,
I think,
14,
is why
yeah.
the reason why is because it doesn't really belong in this
Final
list.
Fantasy
It's an
players,
MMO.
Final Fantasy players don't usually play the MMO.
Well, and
Final
you know the thing
Fantasies.
is a lot of people that,
MMO players will play the
right. That's
MMO
the thing
Final
is
Fantasies.
most of the people that play 14 play MMOs. They don't play Final Fantasy.
Right. We found that out when we went to the fan fest.
Yeah, they were like,
Just,
"Oh, do you
just
talk about?"
the section of people that were there.
They're like, "Oh, do you talk about 14?" We're like, "Oh, we haven't. It's mostly the main series." They're like, "Oh, I don't care." I'm like, "What? What do you mean you don't care? You're at a Final Fantasy 14 convention. You don't care about Final Fantasy? It's in the name." I guess
They don't care.
Yeah, they're
They don't
all
care.
about the MMO, and it's a really good MMO.
11's
so.
kind of in the same camp too. 11 is next, or no, 3 is next. 3 is listed above 11. Then Final Fantasy 11 as the second worst game in the series, and I might kind of feel that way considering what I've played of 11.
Okay.
And then the worst game in the series, according to this poll, it's the least favorite game in the series.
Which I can see. I can see that more than I can see it being the worst.
Yeah,
which
they're not voting best to worst. They're voting, whatever their favorite is.
Right.
So 0.4% of the voters had Final Fantasy 2 listed as their favorite Final Fantasy. That's interesting.
When you look at it that way, it's a little easier to
Yeah, it is a
accept.
little easier to see because I like the game a lot better than 1. I felt like it was leaps and bounds better than 1, except
the
maybe
leveling.
the leveling.
God,
The leveling's really shitty.
it's really bad. It was super funny when you kept messing up, though, and you did the attack one, and then you couldn't then attack yourself because you would just kill yourself.
Right.
And you had to restart like 3 times. It's ridiculous. It's really ridiculous.
It's ridiculous how much you have to cheat in order to actually beat the game.
Yeah, or just spend countless hours leveling up.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's such a good poll. It's just so many numbers.
Yeah, I love
It's like
it.
a really good section of people voting on that thing.
Yeah,
And it's
pretty
really,
cool.
it's not that surprising except for how low Final Fantasy VIII is ranked for me. But you can tell, like, Final Fantasy 6 or Final Fantasy 10 we're going to get the biggest votes, because you can see the ages of the Final Fantasies going through here, like the old NES and beginning Super NES age, and then you can see the golden age of Final Fantasy, and then you can see, Final Fantasy 11 on. You can see where the favorites lie.
Yeah, you can. I mean,
And that's also, what people have played, so they're going to vote one of those.
yeah, that's true. You can't vote.
'cause
Your
they're
favorite
just-
is when you haven't played.
They're simply more popular and more easy to get a hold of than the other games in the series.
Yeah, my list will be different, somewhat, but of course our list is totally different. It is weird. It's like, why would you pick 3 as your favorite, or 2 as your very favorite Final Fantasy?
I don't know why you would
My
do that.
God,
That's so weird.
I enjoyed it, but never would I assume it was anyone's favorite. I go want to do a conversation, I would just be blindsided. So that's a cool article. Thanks a lot for sharing that.
Thank you, Shinru. That'll be on our. You can see the link on that in the question segment and answered questions. 30,000 GameFAQs users voted on their favorite FF game. Go check that out. It's pretty cool. And
Yes.
I think that's going to end it for this episode. Hopefully next week. I think next week we're going to do a spotlight. Not sure on who yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're not going to finish out the year with another
We
big
are not.
release.
We are not. Next week we are going to talk about someone behind the Final Fantasy games. We haven't decided yet, but we will by the time the episode comes out. And then we're going to talk about our best of episode, our end of the year episode.
We'll
or
have that
beginning
as
of next year, but yeah, cap off for the
we
2014.
did, and of course you can still jump on the forums and kind of vote on the best
Yeah,
ofs.
it's a good time. Yeah, get on the forums, guys. Get to the questions area. Questions from us to you. It's going to be right there. Talk about your favorite moments from the podcast, your favorite episodes. What episode do you think is the worst episode? We'll have a Razzie for that. And then favorite rant, favorite or best impression or impersonation, best original song from the podcast or musical piece.
Well, great. That's all for you,
And then,
Joe.
the song is what's gonna get the award.
Are we gonna do like a golden?
And then the best, what's the other one? Shut up, dude. You're fucking pissed. I'm trying to say some shit here.
No, you're not. You're trying to think of something that is completely different than saying it. If you were to say it,
And then best parody song or best song based upon another piece of music.
there you go. That's saying it.
That's the other one. So make sure you guys list out some of your favorites, and we'll have the nominees in like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Or in like 2 weeks. And so make sure you guys do that, because that way we can have a good episode. And we'll have little recaps, and we'll talk about them on a very special episode.
Very special.
It's gonna be like the Oscars, but just for our podcast.
Right, and not nearly as boring if you actually sit down and watch the whole thing. We hope.
We hope.
Because I like movies, but God, that is a lot of
See,
time.
I like the Oscars. Sometimes they get their head up their ass though, with like that social shit. They always got to do like some social plug
Yeah.
against poverty or some shit. Really pisses me off. That pisses me off.
I just don't like sitting around all day. I just want to know who won.
Oh, I like sitting around. All right, that's gonna end it for this episode. We will see you guys in a week.
Yeah, enjoy the grind.
This has been another production of Ultima Final Fantasy, the Ultimate Final Fantasy Podcast. The show was produced by Joseph DeGollier and Caleb Schweiss, with music and editing by Joseph DeGollier, parodies and clips from their respective authors, of course. You can get all of our episodes as well as our Let's Plays at ultimafinalfantasy.com. You can also contact us on Twitter at UFF Podcast, as well as our contact page on our website. Be sure to subscribe and review our podcast. Your reviews may get read on the show, and look forward to the next episode of Ultima Final Fantasy, the Ultimate Final Fantasy Podcast.